Hey guys, it's Alpha Shay 19 here, and we are gonna do some more NFL picks. Before we get into the video, I would just like to say, if you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and subscribe. And if you like the video, please leave a like. It helps out tremendously if you do those things. All right, and now we're gonna get into the picks. So it's a bit late for me to be doing this video, but the good news is it's still not Thursday night, which means Thursday night football is the Houston Texans and the New York Jets. Now, we all know now that Aaron Rodgers is not the savior that the Jets actually needed. Um, or really a savior for the Jets at all. I mean, he has proven that he's washed up, basically. So, at the end of the day, I think the Texans are going to win this game. I mean, like, there's a 6-2 team versus a 2-6 team. And the Jets haven't shown me any reason for me to believe in them this year. Now, their defense is okay, but their offense is really just not good. Even with Davante Adams coming and joining this squad, I don't see the Jets beating the Texans. I think the Texans got this game all the way. I should say, sorry. I'm going to go ahead and say 28-17 Texans. Pretty easy game for them to win. I do think the Jets keep it a little bit closer than people think, but either way, Texans get the dub. Dallas at Atlanta. Atlanta and Dallas are both confusing teams. I don't know that anybody expected that Dallas would be 3-4 right now. I don't think a lot of people thought that Atlanta would be 5-3. Right. Here we are. I think at the very beginning of the season, I think if you looked at this game on the schedule, you would think that the records would actually be the opposite. Of course, the Cowboys had a bye week, so they have one less game, but still. This is one of those games where I'm going to go ahead and trust the Cowboys a little bit. I think they're going to win this game. I don't foresee them going 2 games under 500. I see them kind of bouncing back and getting a little bit of mojo back here. The Cowboys will come online eventually. That's just how it goes. I think they're going to win 21-16. It's going to be an interesting game. I think the Cowboys win, though. That might be a little bit low scoring. I feel like maybe it could get higher scoring than that, but I'm going 21-16 Cowboys. Broncos against the Baltimore Ravens. So I'm a Ravens fan. I was upset by last week's loss to the Browns. Not really too surprised. I knew that it could happen. It felt like a situation where it was a trap game. And the Broncos are 5-3 too, so the battle of 5-3 teams. However, I don't think the Ravens are losing this game at home. I think the Ravens bounce back from the loss last week. I think they get the dub, and I think it's going to be a high scoring game again. But the Ravens are probably going to score over 30 points on this Denver Broncos defense just because the Ravens are the number 1 scoring offense in the league. And that's just how it is. That being said, they still have 3 losses. But I think they bounce back and win this game. I think they're going to win this game 35-28. The Ravens' defense is pretty bad, so I always have to go ahead and give the opposing team a lot of points as well. But in a shootout, I think the Ravens take this W at home. Buffalo versus Miami. Tua Tagovailoa is back. Won't really change much. Buffalo is going to get this W. The Dolphins are not a good team, even with Tua Tagovailoa, and that's just the way that it is. Now, I don't think it's going to be like a blowout or anything like the last game was. Tua threw 3 interceptions in the last game and came out of it with his like 3rd or 4th concussion. Not a great day for Tua Tagovailoa in the last game these teams played against each other. But I think it's going to be a little bit different this time. I don't think Tua is going to throw 3 interceptions, but I also don't think Miami is good enough to win. Ah, that cough just will not go away. Buffalo is gonna win this game, 28-24. It's going to be close. 28-24. I think Buffalo takes the W. Carolina versus New Orleans. Man, New Orleans has really slipped back after the first 2 weeks of the season. After those first 2 weeks, like a lot of people, I was kind of riding high on them. Now this game just looks like it's a game against with two bad teams in it that are vying for third place in this division. Realistically, I mean, obviously, the Buccaneers and Falcons are the better teams in this division this year, and that's just the way it is. One of those teams is going to win the division. It's still a bad division overall. Doesn't really matter. What matters is what I think is going to happen. This is so hard to do because I really never want to pick Carolina because I think they stink. But I'm going to go with a little bit of an upset here and pick Carolina to win this game. Although Bryce Young might be starting, and if that's the case, then they're probably going to lose. You know what? I'm going to switch that. The Saints are going to win because Bryce Young sucks so much that he cannot even win against this trash Saints team. There's no way that if Bryce Young is starting, they are winning this game. See, it was a mistake to bench Andy Dalton. Bryce Young is terrible. I'm switching my pick to the Saints, actually. The Saints are going to win this game. They're going to blow out the Panthers, actually. There's no way they don't, actually. It's going to be like 35-10. Like, the Saints are a bad team, but they're not bad enough to lose this game, like, at all. So, the Panthers are that bad. I'm switching my pick to the Saints. Vegas versus Cincinnati. This is one of those games where it's like, okay, both teams are kind of mid, not very good. But they both have some potential, and one of them already beat my Ravens this year. So there's that. And the Ravens have had a weird season, to say the least. But that being said, it's not about them. It's about this game right here. And I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals on this one. I think the Bengals can still beat up on teams like the Raiders. I don't know that they're a contender like a lot of people thought they might be, but I think they can still beat up on teams like the Raiders. I'm going to go ahead and say 32 to 28 Bengals get the W. Their defense is still really bad, but I think, the Bengals are probably going to win against the Raiders just because the Raiders are just not that good of a team. I mean, they're 2-6. Right. I mean, the Bengals are 3-5, only one more win, but still. It's funny because 2-6 teams have beaten the Ravens this year, which is putting me in a weird spot. The Chargers versus the Browns. I think, Jameis Winston does make the team better. Jameis does make the Browns better. Does he make them good enough to beat the Chargers? The Ravens did drop like 6 interceptions last week. I don't know that the Chargers are going to do that. It's so weird because I don't want to pick the Browns, but I think I'm going to pick the Browns. And the reason I'm going to pick the Browns is because I think Jameis Winston makes the team so much better than Deshaun Watson made him that I think that they're just going to start winning games now. They have Nick Chubb back. They have Jameis Winston, who looked way better than Deshaun Watson has all season. People are going to underestimate them. The Chargers are probably going to Charger this game away somehow. So, yeah, I'm picking Cleveland here. I think that this is a really good matchup for them right after beating the Ravens. I mean, that's just how it is. Cleveland, especially at home, they're going to win this game. They're going to make things a little bit interesting for the playoff race, especially if you're talking about like the 7th or 6th seed. Because I think that they could theoretically grab that still. Cleveland's going to win this game 17-13. It's going to be a weird game, but it's going to be entertaining. Commanders versus Giants. The Commanders came away with an exciting win last week against the Bears. I think they're going to continue to win. They're going to beat the Giants, and they're going to beat the Giants handily. They're going to beat the Giants like 35-17. It's going to be ugly. Like, it's not going to be anywhere close. Patriots versus the Titans. See, both teams are bad. Both teams are starting a rookie quarterback, but I think Drake May is better than Will Levis, and so I'm gonna go ahead with the Patriots here. It's gonna be something wacky like 15-13 Patriots or something like that. It can't be normal in this game. It's just not gonna happen. But I think the Patriots get the win there. I think they're better than the Titans. I think the Titans might be one of the worst teams in the league this year. Like, literally, actually, bottom two. Like, I think the Panthers and Titans are going to be going at it for the number one pick this year. It's just going to be how it is. Will Levis is just obviously not good. Bears versus Cardinals. The Battle of Mid. Oh. The Battle of Mid. I mean, there is no teams more mid than the Bears and the Cardinals. I mean, 4-3 and 4-4. I mean, yeah, 4-3 and 4-4. It gets kind of hard to argue that they're not just mid. Now, that being said, I do think the Cardinals are going to pull this one off. They're at home. You know, the Bears lost ugly to the Commanders last week on a Hail Mary. Caleb Williams does seem to. It seems like he's figured out the league, but it seems like the league has him somewhat figured out as well. And the Cardinals are the type of team that could maybe squeak into a 6th or 7th seed as well. I mean, the Bears are that type of team too, right? These might be two wild card teams come the playoffs. And we could theoretically see this matchup in the playoffs at some point too. You never know. But I mean, they're both potentially capable of squeaking in, and maybe this is actually a playoff game because you could say, oh wait, the 7th seed looks good for both of these teams, and I'm gonna give the Cardinals a slight edge. I'm gonna go ahead and say the Cardinals win this like 17-10 or something like that. I don't think it's gonna be a high scoring game. I just foresee the Cardinals winning. Philadelphia Eagles versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't trust either one of these teams, and I don't really expect that the Eagles are going to get upset by the Jags. Initially, I was thinking in my head the Jags are going to upset the Eagles, but I don't think I'm going to pick it that way. I'm going to pick the Eagles to win this game just because I can't really trust the Jags, like, at all. I just can't. I can't trust the Jaguars this season. Like, they have a couple of wins, good for them, you know, but they're still a bad team, and I can't trust them. Philadelphia Eagles are going to win this game, let's say 23-20. It's going to be close. The Eagles don't play bad teams very well. They play good teams better than they play bad teams. They're like the Ravens of the NFC, where if they're playing a bad team, they're gonna stink it up. They might still win, but it's gonna be an ugly win. If they're playing a better team, they're gonna play a lot better and they're gonna win bigger, right? And that's just how it is. The Ravens and Eagles are basically in the same category of team, realistically. They're good teams that have good elite quarterbacks that struggle against inferior competition. I'll just say it like that. But then sometimes they win and sometimes they get upset. This time I think they're going to struggle against Jacksonville and get the W. Barely by the skin of their teeth by 3 points, but still. Detroit versus Green Bay. Oh my god, this might be the best game this week. Listen, I am in an interesting situation where I actually like both of these teams because I have family members who like both of these teams, or exactly. So for me, it's kind of like that's kind of funny because I like both teams, and I root for the Lions whenever they're not playing the Ravens, and I root for the Packers whenever they're not playing for the Ravens too. Same thing goes for the Eagles because I also kind of like the Eagles. Like if I were to pick a team to root for outside of the Ravens, it would probably be either the Lions, Packers, or Eagles. Just because those are the teams that I'm most connected to through family. So, I mean, there's that. But, I mean, one of these teams has to lose, unfortunately. And, I mean, honestly, it's going to be interesting because the Lions have been going on a tear. I don't know that the Packers can stand up to that currently, but the Packers are doing very well. Jordan Love is shaping up to be another good quarterback for Green Bay. Do I think he's going to be as good as Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre? Probably not. But he's still going to be really good, and he's going to make the Packers good. Oh man, I don't know. I'm going to pick the Packers in this one. I think they can get the upset. I think the Packers get the upset by the skin of their teeth, maybe even like 32-31. That's going to be my score prediction. 32-31 Packers. Rams versus the Seahawks. Okay. So, I knew the Seahawks were going to be mid this year. Because I'm a Ravens fan, I know what Mike Macdonald was like. And everybody was like, oh my god, Mike Macdonald is some kind of genius. He's amazing. Yada, yada, yada. I remember when Mike Macdonald first started coaching the Ravens defense, and the Ravens defense was some booty cheeks when he first started coaching the Ravens defense. And look what has happened in Seattle. He's a mid head coach at best. He's a mid head coach at best. The Rams are very injured though. But you know what? I'm going to go ahead and predict the Rams win. Just because I don't trust the Seahawks. I'll predict the Rams win 18-16. It's going to be a weird game. 18-16, Rams win. Colts Vikings. Another weird game. The Vikings have lost to 2 in a row after starting 5-0. Very Vikings thing to do. However, can they beat the Colts this week? Joe Flacco's starting for the Colts. I think that gives them a bit of a better competitive edge, but the Vikings are still a really good team. However, I'm getting a really weird feeling about this game that the Colts win. I'm going to pick the Colts here. It might be a bit of an upset if they do win. But it's also the Vikings, so they have to start choking eventually. And that might be right around now. So I'm going to say the Colts are going to win. The Colts are going to win, and they're going to win 23-21. 23-21 Colts get the W. The Colts are going to be in close games all season. They're the type of team that is like very good at being in games, but sometimes they just don't finish. Other times, they come away with a scrappy win. It's the type of team the Colts are, and that's just how it is. The Vikings are in a bit of a downward spiral right now. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't come back, but it's also the Vikings, and I don't really trust them. Moving on to everybody's favorite game of the week, the Chiefs game. The Chiefs, despite Patrick Mahomes having probably his worst statistical season he's ever had, and I can pull his stats up just for this. Pat Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes. What are your stats this season? So completion percentage is 68. That's still pretty good. 1,651 yards, 8 touchdowns, not bad. 9 interceptions. What's this? A negative interception touchdown ratio? Patrick, for shame. For shame. Dude, this guy throws an interception every game, by the way, and is still considered the best quarterback in the NFL. You know what? You know who Patrick Mahomes really is? Patrick Mahomes is like, I'm going to say it like this. Patrick Mahomes is like the new Brett Favre. And somebody compared Mahomes to Favre on his draft day. And the reason I'm saying that is because, watch this. NFL all-time most interceptions. Most interceptions thrown. Brett Favre had the most interceptions thrown in his career and is still a Hall of Famer and a thief from poor people. But anyway, yes, that's the thing. Brett Favre had the most interceptions thrown ever, and his career was long. Brett Favre has thrown 336 interceptions in his career. All right? That's a lot of interceptions. Patrick Mahomes, but Brett Favre also won a lot of games. Okay? Right? Brett Favre also won a lot of games, and Patrick Mahomes is winning a lot of games. All right. So even though Patrick Mahomes throws a lot of interceptions, he also wins a lot of games. Right? As evidenced by the Chiefs' record as 7-0. Will the Buccaneers pull off the upset? I think that the Buccaneers could pull off an upset. I think Baker Mayfield can challenge Patrick Mahomes. And you know what? Just because I want to feel like I'm gonna literally have to start picking against the Chiefs every week. Just so that way I can eventually pick their upset. Because I know they're not going to have an undefeated season. This game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to win against the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football by a score of 27-25. 27-25, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers get it done. Why do I think the Bucs are going to get it done? Because Baker Mayfield has the capacity to be able to win against Patrick Mahomes. And I think if Patrick Mahomes makes the same kind of mistakes that he's been making all season against a lot of other teams, right? He's thrown 9 interceptions this season, which is by far like the most that he's ever thrown at this point in the season, and he only has 8 touchdowns. So that means this is not the same type of Patrick Mahomes that we've seen in the past, right? If that's the case, that means their 7-0 record should be up for grabs in terms of losing a game. This is the type of game that the Chiefs could lose. It is in Kansas City, which does make it harder. And we all know that, yes, it does seem that the refs do favor the Chiefs sometimes. How could Patrick Mahomes' stats be this bad? Right? How could they be this bad in this season? Right? This is his worst statistical year ever, besides 2017, where he only played 1 game, so we're going to scratch that off the list because that's only 1 game. But this is his worst statistical season, even just by passer rating. 113, 105, 108, 98, 105, 92. Last year was the worst one, and now it's worse. And they still possibly are going to win the Super Bowl for a 3rd time. Obviously, that isn't there yet. But yeah, I think 27-25, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers get it done. And Patrick Mahomes is going to throw at least 1 interception. We all know that. We all know that. Like, that's just how it is. So, yeah. That's the picks for this week. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. Peace out, y'all.